Order in the court, but make it fashion.
You're listening to Juris Dolls, the podcast where we're trading the law library for the lifestyle you actually want.
We're proof that you can kill it in the courtroom and still be the baddest in the room.
I'm Tiara.
And I'm Tiana. And we decided to start Juris Dolls because we met in law school and we thought this would be a great platform to talk about our journey now that we're both in our first year of the legal profession. Tiara, what do
Girl,
you think?
I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm so ready for our first episode. And as Tiana was mentioning earlier, we've known each other through law school and even in undergrad. So it's really crazy that we're transitioning now into this first year of what's next after law school. And it's been a minute because you are in Houston and I'm in Birmingham. So I think it's time for the docket check to check on each other and to see what each of us have been what's been going on for the weekly check-in.
Yes, girl, I'm ready to hear about what's been going on in Alabama. I'm a little homesick, so let's get that docket check going.
Sounds good. So for me, the docket win. The docket win is the first thing that's up. So I'll go first. So a docket win for me this week, and I think just in the last couple months since we've seen each other, I've really been trying to stay consistent and be healthy, try to stay in the gym and really pour into myself. I feel like, which you can attest to, after going through
Mhm.
3 hard years of law school and then taking the bar exam, you just really are mentally drained. And so figuring out how to be healthy mentally as well as like physically and also just wholeheartedly all around is what I've been working on. So that's the docket win for me for right now, just trying to stay healthy and fit and hopefully cute just in time for summer.
I love that, and girl, yes, you're winning. Look, I need to get like you.
Ooh, I feel my biceps already coming in. Like my arms are sore. I feel my abs coming in. So I did solid core just a couple days ago. So I definitely feel it. I'm gonna be ready for summer.
As you should, and you will be. Honestly, look, I need to get in the gym right after this. That's what I'm gonna do. My docket win has been shopping. So I've been finding some cute outfits to wear to my job, walking around downtown Houston. Gotta be on my P's and Q's because they don't play out here. Um, I found a cute little dress that I'm gonna wear tomorrow with a little blazer. So I'm really excited about that. And then I've also been shopping, getting some more stuff for my apartment, decorating, hanging things up. And I'm like real picky, you know that. So it takes me a long time to like figure out how I want to decorate something, how I want to coordinate colors. So that's a big win for me because like the more I can make this homey, the more I can really adjust to this new lifestyle.
Well, I love that for you. I love the shopping. I love the new dress, which hopefully I'll get a little sneak peek maybe on a IG story or something. Cause
Mhm.
I love seeing the outfits, dress to impress. Love that, which I think we'll be getting into a little bit later in our episode. But next, emotion to complain. It would not be a full on week. It wouldn't be a couple of months since we've seen each other had there not been something to complain about. I know you've talked about this briefly about traffic, but I would have to say that's something for me to complain about, even here in Alabama. I feel like there's so much going on. Thankfully, right now we're in spring break mode, so a lot of people are out of town. So the
Mhm.
roads have been clear for me to be on time for my workout classes, but definitely complaining about this traffic because the traffic is insane. I think growing up in a small town, I was so used to there not being a lot of things that you could really go to, a lot of places to eat, any coffee shops. Like there were just go home or go to school, but now there's so much around in my little small area and people are just out and about and I just can't take it. I'm like, I cannot get to where I used to get my eyebrows done, eyebrows threaded in 10 minutes. I have to leave like 30 minutes earlier to make sure I'm on time. So I'm definitely complaining about the traffic out here.
Look, that is exactly what I was gonna complain about, and it's quite the opposite for us because somebody made Houston the spring break destination. I don't know why y'all did that. Please don't do that again next year. But look, this traffic is atrocious. I'll put in my Apple Maps, something's supposed to take me 10 minutes to get there. I'll get there in 30 minutes and then struggle to find parking. So it done took about 40 minutes for me to get there. That happened to me on Friday. I had a
No.
little event to go to. It was 4 minutes away from where I'm at. It took me about 20 minutes.
Girl, no. You are
Yeah.
lying.
And then don't miss an exit, which like when it comes to driving, I'm quick to mix an exit. So I'll do that and then end up on a street or one way and trying to figure out how to get from A to point Z. And then Apple Maps is glitching because I don't know. Something about Houston, I guess it's the water or the air or something. Apple Maps does not work in Houston. So traffic was
No.
definitely something I was going to complain about too.
Well, I definitely feel for you. I actually wish I was coming to see you, even though I know you're working. I was like, this would be so much fun. Like, I need to go to Houston. Like, it's time for a trip. We've talked about this. It's time for a girls' trip. We are
Hmm.
definitely both complaining about this darn traffic. It's just too many people. Too many people want to be out. I honestly thought once there was more online shopping and people
Hmm.
thought that that was more accessible, Uber Eats, that maybe the traffic no. People are still going out
Yeah.
and about, stores are opening left and right. So, online shopping and people still out and about, but I kinda like that. But when I gotta be somewhere and I'm running a little bit late, we need to wrap it up. We need to wrap it up.
Right.
So
And I
that's
forgot
just a
about the late part. I'm quick to be like, I need 10 more minutes. So yeah, I definitely forgot about that. Mhm.
10 minutes always turns into 20, and I'm like, "Okay, now we only got 10 minutes to get there, but we're, like,
Mhm.
30 minutes away." But I trick girl math. I trick myself to be, "Okay, really, though, if I get to this part of the intersection at the right time, then the lights will be green for, like, the next 3 lights I need to go through, and then we're basically only, like, 10 minutes late." So
Right. But see me, my girl math be all off, I'd be like, "Okay, I'm 5 minutes late. I got another 5 minutes." 10 minutes pass by. Okay, 15 minutes, Imma be out the door. 30 minutes pass by. I get in the car. On the way there, I gotta stop and get gas. And so I'm like and don't add traffic on top of that. But I'm working on it, growth.
Well, growth, small little baby steps. We're learning, we're growing into this new phase of our journeys and our lives. But now it's time for the closing argument. All right. And so closing argument, we dedicated this section to really talk about some piece of advice to any of our future lawyers out there, future law students, just a piece of advice, or even anyone out there in the same situation as Tiana and I about transitioning into this next phase of life after law school. So, my piece of advice or a little short lesson or my closing argument would be just consistency is key and not perfection. And I think we
Mhm.
could talk about this and apply this with anything, with either traffic or trying to be somewhere. I've talked about working out, just staying consistent in your goals and realizing that you're not going to get everything right, that this is a new journey. You're treading into new waters, whether you are first year after law school, you've only got a couple months before you start up into law school, or you're a 1L, 2L, 3L. Like there's so many different phases throughout this legal journey, and just consistency is always going to be key over perfection and just to not give up. So that would be my closing argument.
I love that. Honestly, that's exceptional advice. Coming into law school, I kinda had that mindset where, like, I have to be perfect. I have to have the perfect brief. I have to have the perfect, argument. I have to answer correctly when I get cold called. And honestly, being in law school kinda breaks down that idea of perfection. You learn that, being a great lawyer is about being open to learning and taking constructive criticism. I would say the thing that's really helped me excel in the legal career, being a first year lawyer, is not being perfect, not
Hmm.
worrying about being perfect. And um, to add to that, I would say be open to networking, meeting as many people as possible. If you want to go to law school and you're still an undergrad, you can always reach out to someone in law school or reach out to a young lawyer or an older lawyer. I mean, I haven't met anyone in the legal profession yet who hasn't been open to sharing their insights on being a lawyer, what they love, what they don't love, what they like to do in their free time. There's so many different types of people that you can meet. So just be open to mingling, being yourself. You don't have to change when you become an attorney. I don't think either of us have changed. What you think?
I definitely agree with everything you said, and I don't think we've changed. I think we've evolved into who we always dreamed about becoming and being. I just remember we're in 31 together, which is
Mm,
a 31 organization at the University of Alabama for 31 exceptional young women at the university that are excelling in so many different areas of life. So we've known each other for a minute because that's going all the way back
mhm.
to undergrad. And hopefully later on, we'll get to talk about some of our pageantry which is so fitting for Juris Dolls. But I agree 100% with everything that you said, that there's so many different things that you learn. There's a lot of lawyers out there that share their stories. And at first, if you're just looking at them, you don't know them. You're thinking, gosh, like they're so perfect. Like, how do they do it all? And it's not, they're just consistent. They don't give up on their dreams. I'm on a little bit of a different journey than you, Tiana, right now. I just finished taking the bar exam for a second time. And so I'm waiting on bar results, and I couldn't think of anything more consistent than that, and showing that, you have to show up for yourself and that I didn't go to law school for nothing. I wanna be an attorney, and so if you have a dream, you have to go for it and to be open about it, and so I've been trying to be open about the whole process because maybe there's someone out there listening to our podcast who they're either in their first year as an associate like you, Tiana, or they're still waiting on their turn and right timing and whatever God has next for them in their journey. So consistency is key. We're being consistent and we're evolving into what we always dreamed about being as young women.
Yes, I love that, Tiara, and you're already doing exceptional things.
Thank
I'm
you.
praying that those bar results come out exactly how we want them to, and then we're gonna celebrate on our girls' trip,
Yes, we
our little
are. Oh
trip.
my gosh. I have been like, that's what's been getting me through. Like, even when I was studying for the bar exam and thinking about, okay, I cannot wait to be done with this, even taking it, I'm like, we have so much to celebrate, just
Mhm.
from the fact of graduating from law school. And you just don't feel like you can fully celebrate anything until you're over that hump. So I'm ready for all of us to get together, have our fun girls' trip, be out there living lawyers, and then that will be something fun for us to talk about on our podcast for sure after we have that girls trip.
No, most definitely. I'm looking forward to it. Look, I never, ever stop getting excited about our trips and catching up, hearing what's going on in your life. Like I said earlier, I miss Alabama a little bit, so I always love hearing the stories that you have.
Well, I love hearing about your stories and your journey and where you are in life. It's just a fun time. Sometimes I think people can be scared of transitions and going somewhere new, or if you haven't been somewhere before, whether you're moving to a new job or you're just in different waters, because when you're in school for so long, like we've been, you just
Mhm.
always know what's next. And sometimes you don't always know what's next. You're just kind of going with the flow. So I'm proud of your transition and I'm proud of my transition, which transitions us into the next main feature, which is so you want to be a lawyer. And I
Mhm.
think, Tiana, of course, you would be perfect for starting us out with this and just talking about, we talked about transitions just in life, but definitely transitioning from a law student to definitely an associate. And then I'll talk about a little bit my journey and what's been going on with me since after taking the bar exam again.
Yes, I love that. So, you want to be a lawyer. So, this segment of our podcast is just going to talk about our different journeys throughout the legal profession, coming from law school, ending up to where we're at now. So, a little bit about me. I'm originally from Alabama. As y'all know, I keep mentioning that, but I'm now in Houston, Texas, practicing as a first year associate. And I really love it. It's really been a great experience for me. I would think the biggest hurdle that I've had as a first year attorney is the fact that, like, aside from internships, I've never had like a big girl job for real. So stepping into the corporate world, making sure you're on time for everything, making sure you're overly prepared has been something that I've definitely been learning and improving throughout these past couple of months. I moved to Houston in November and it's now March. So time has definitely been flying, but I know that I don't know everything, as a first year attorney, I still sometimes forget that I am an attorney. It's a very surreal thing to say, like, when someone's like, "So what do you do?" Like, "Oh, I'm an attorney." They're like, "Paralegal?" Like, "No, attorney, law student, like, don't
Don't play my friend like that. Don't play my friend like that.
Yeah, but I would just say that you're gonna meet a lot of different people in your first year, people who are gonna be supportive, some people, they're gonna be a little harder to work with. But just remember why you wanted to join the legal profession. Remember what drew you here and be open to just getting as much experience as you can within your first couple of years. You might not end up in the exact practice area that you want to be in, but I would say those first 2 years is all about that experience, about learning, about growth, and still take time to have fun. When I first got down here, I was like trying to lock in and make sure I'm like always on top of things
Mhm.
work-wise, so I wouldn't go out as much, and I'm still, like, not big on the party scene in Houston. I know no one ever believes me when I say that because 'cause they're like, "It's Houston, like, why wouldn't you go out?" But,
Right.
I just really try to make sure that I at least have, like, 1 or 2 outings every now and then scheduled on my calendar with I have a homegirl down here that I met in law school, and so she moved here before me. It's her 2nd year as an attorney, so she's been showing me the ropes too, but don't be afraid to move. Don't be afraid to, leave your home state, go explore. Like within your first couple of years of practicing as an attorney, that's the time to really try new things. And so with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Tiara.
I love that for you. I love this story about hearing about all my friends who are associates and just kind of the new journey that you're on. It's so cool. But also, you got me with that paralegal. But, I don't think it's anything, unfortunately, that Black women and people of color have not heard that comes off to be a stereotype and insult of, oh, you can't be an attorney. You have to be a paralegal. It's just not possible. And so I know when I get to your position of being an associate, that's something that I will have to tackle. That's something you're tackling now. And I feel like we keep hearing those same stories, especially when someone has to go to court and the judge is like, okay, where's your attorney? And you're like,
Mhm.
sir, ma'am, no, ma'am. Like the attorney has arrived. I'm here. I'm early.
Right.
So that's just something that we're still gonna have to tread through and work through in the legal field, unfortunately. So for me, as I mentioned before, I just got through taking the bar exam for a second time
Yes,
in
congratulations.
February. Thank you so much. It was a lot, a big transition. I feel like for me, the transition has been more mental than anything else because
Mhm.
I've been more stagnant. I felt just physically. I haven't really moved anywhere. I'm still here in Alabama. I did move back home. So that's been nice being with family and people that care about me and
Mhm.
almost feeling like a high schooler again, which yesterday I got the best compliment. I was coming from working out. I had no makeup on, so they really were trying to get a tip from me, I bet. But they were like, "Oh my gosh, are you out for spring break?" And I'm thinking, I'm too old to even be thinking about spring break. Like, I'm old. And she was like, "Oh my gosh." She's like, "I thought you were in college. Like, I thought you were in your early 20s." And I was like, period. I'm actually almost 30, which when I said that, I'm like, girl, be for real. You're not almost 30. You're 27. But I feel like you'd say almost 30 when you're 29 and a half, but I was being
Yeah.
extra. But anyway, she made me feel good. And so just my transition has not been so much of transitioning physically as it's been mentally. And that's been a great journey for me because I feel like I really needed this moment to take a step back and to realize definitely my worth. I feel like when you go to law school, especially one that's competitive like ours, and you're so
Mhm.
used to being competitive with your other peers when it comes to schoolwork and then also the bar exam, sometimes you feel this extra added addition of pressure to yourself to have to be perfect, to have to get everything right. Everyone passes almost from our law school. So to not pass isn't the best feeling. But to
Mm,
also realize that after hearing a lot of stories about a lot of other attorneys that have been in the same situation as myself and have gone on to be successful has definitely boosted my confidence and also just taking time. Sometimes you just need time to yourself. And so I've been doing that. Like I said, I've been trying to get my mental right. I've been going to the gym. And it was really funny. I was taking a solid core class, and the lady instructor even said, she was like, I'm not here really to even make sure you're doing all the movements. It's more so you having the mental ability and capacity to know that your body can do it, that you can
Right.
get through it. And I think that's the same thing you need with whether you're an associate like yourself, Tiana, or you're studying for the bar exam again, to pick yourself back up and to realize that the transition next is you will get there. You will be an attorney. But for right now, your transition is to pick yourself back up and to get back out there to study, to figure out what you've done wrong, and just to be honest about yourself. So that's been the transition for me so far, just to be honest with myself and not to be too hard on myself and to enjoy the journey and the time that I have with my family. So that's what life has been looking for like for me right now. Although in a couple weeks I'll be starting back working, which I'm excited about that. To get back into that mode of what I have to look forward to in the future.
No, I love that for sure. And you mentioned the journey. Only thing I have to add on to that, because like I said, you killed it, is that being in law school, it's important to remember that everybody has different journeys. Do
Hmm.
not ever look at your neighbor and try to compare, what they're doing, what they got going on. When I was in law school, I really had to remember that when it came to finals season because TR, you know this. Like I did not study in the library. I think I only
'Cause
went.
you're brilliant, and I'm over here listening to you, sweating, mind you, because I'm like, "Girl, I'm so stressed," and you were always like, I'm stressed too because I just been out traveling," and I'm like, "Period." I love that for you, which I'm so glad that you had that opportunity to show, you can do it, but it is that pressure of,
Mm.
like, you have to choose one or the other, which you touched on even as an associate, you feel like, "I can't go out," so please continue with your story and what you were just saying, because I feel that. I feel that for sure.
I was just gonna say, if it's your first year in law school, you're trying to figure out finals, figure things out, maybe even if it's your second or third year, just remember that you're your own person. So like what works for your neighbor might not even work for you. I was
Mm,
never the one to have, like, the long outlines and memorize them and stuff, and I'm not saying that's the best, advice, but everybody learns differently, so I was more so the one to learn through, like, listening to lectures, taking active notes or figuring out acronyms and stuff like that. I would go on Reddit and see different advice people would put down, and some of
mm.
it would be helpful. I know they say, like, "Don't go on Reddit" sometimes, but during final season, I will hop on Reddit and see like, okay, how did they binge study for this exam in a week or 2? And sometimes I would get some gems. So I would say like, don't be afraid to like step outside the box and do something that is kind of unorthodox, like do
Right.
what works for you. It's your journey, it's your law school journey. Same thing goes for internships and for jobs. Like I know some people who took gap years after law
Mm.
school, like, and then took the bar a year later. Like, whatever works for you. So I think that's so important to remember as a young professional in the legal field.
No, that is perfect advice and something that I'm so glad that you touched on and added because I received that advice. I will take that advice to somebody else and it's so
Mhm.
true. And I think we even had these discussions, Tiana, in law school while we were still going through it and when we would be lucky enough to be, especially after the first year, because they split us up, y'all, in sections our first year and I did not get lucky to be with Tiana. I was in my own little section, so we didn't get to really see each other a lot. But it was really wonderful to have that time with you in different classes that we both were interested in because it just showed me like I'm not alone. When you would tell me things, I'm like, girl, me too. Like, of course, yeah, me too. Reddit, we love it. And like you said, it doesn't work for everyone. Everyone's on a different journey. And some people, they come to the law school, they were there like a full-time job, that works for them, they didn't go out, they sacrificed, a little bit of their
Mhm.
mental health, but maybe for a
Yeah.
bigger reward to maybe do really well in the class, and people just have different personalities, and that's fine, and I think that's important to highlight, and I'm so glad that's why we're having these discussions now to show people a different side of the law and how you can be successful in truly being who you are and not dimming down your light for somebody else or to make someone else feel comfortable, which I feel like we've talked about this a lot through law school. I would tell people I think it was right before a final I had, and I had gone off to Dallas, like, 2 days before. Girl, I'm up studying in the hotel room like, I wish I did not have to take this exam." Chilling in the room, it's so comfortable, like, that's the last thing that I wanna do, and I was advised, not to do it, but it was something that I wanted to do for myself. I was receiving a national award for my community service initiative that I've been working on for a very long time with the psoriasis community. And so I wasn't gonna miss it. But it worked out for me. And other people were like, period. Like, I'm glad you did that. And it just shows that you don't have to pick and choose. And I think that's a great mentality to take forward with you even after law school. And just one last thing to add, I think that's important. And for anyone out there where you're getting ready to go through the law school journey and process, that who you are really in law school probably will be who you are when you're in the legal world as far as your schedule of your work life balance. So, really try to figure that out now when you are getting ready to go to law school, or even if you're in law school now, like, it's never too late. Because a lot of the times, the same type of routines that you have and patterns can tread into your first year into law, into practice. And so I think now, if you just have that mentality of, I'm going to work hard, but I'm also going to take that time to do things for me that I've worked on my whole life that I'm proud of, and to not let go of that.
Yes, I love that. That's absolutely exceptional advice per usual. And to add to that, there was once a time where I missed a finals review session because I was in New York and I missed my flight back. And yeah, I wasn't there for an award, unfortunately. I was just there, having fun, trying to take a break from studying and, seeing friends and stuff. And yeah, like I still that was one of the exams I actually did the best on. It was torts. Um, so just keep
Period.
in mind, like hurdles will come up in law school. There might be a time when you miss a flight or you're stuck somewhere and it's not the end of the world. Like as a
Mhm,
lawyer, it's your job to think outside the box,
mm,
like when one problem comes up, think of a solution. Don't be so like problem oriented. Like
mm.
don't think about the glass being, half empty, think about it being half full. And I think that's something that I've learned a lot in law school because I wouldn't say like I was a crash out back in the day, but like
Not a crash out,
I
no, I
wasn't a
could
crash out
never
per
see you
se, but
crashing out.
like, like now I'm like very chill. Like when something happens, I'm like, okay, how can I solve this? What's the
Mm,
solution to this? Like instead of thinking that it's the end of the world, even if it's a big problem, I'm like, okay, well, now we gotta look towards the solution because we can't go back in time, Time don't go
right.
back, you go forward. I think that was J. Cole? I forgot who said that, but
No, I love that. That's such great advice. I feel like you're just dropping such gems. Like, I'm sopping it all up. I'm like a little sponge. I'm like, "Ooh, I love this." And this is why I'm so glad, like, we have this platform and that we're doing this, because I feel like a lot of times now that I'm on the other side of things, I'll have someone come up to me and ask me, "I want to go to law school. I want to do X, Y, and Z," but I just hear horror stories about all the things that I can't do, or someone telling me, the first year is miserable, you can't do X, Y, and Z. And it's just not true. So,
um,
anyone out there listening to this and you are worried about what's next, you're like, "Oh my gosh, like, I'm gonna be in misery." It's not true. Like, you can go either to Dallas for an award, or you can go to New York because you deserve it. You worked hard to get into law school. You worked hard. And like you mentioned and told that story about, you did really well on your torts exam. That probably had a lot to do with just you taking care of yourself and taking care of your mental health and having that work-life balance. It's always better to know, like, where your limits are and what you will bend to and what you won't bend to, because that
mhm,
probably will help you excel even in law school. Which I've heard friends of people come up to me and say, "We went to the University of Alabama for undergrad and law school, so of course I feel like a lot of our peers, they were like, we're not missing them football games. Like, we're going
right.
every Saturday, we're going to the tailgate." And they did. And a lot of them, as we have seen, have gone on to have great careers, because you just have to take time for yourself.
No, seriously, you really do. And I would say that's the biggest gem. Like, you said you're soaking up my advice. Girl, no. I need a notebook writing down what you're saying because 'cause I'm like, you speak so eloquently, and the advice you give is just timeless. And, we're both
Yeah.
living proof that you can go to law school, be baddies, be yourself, and come out on the other side still having life in your eyes and joy and that spark of youthfulness? So,
I love that. And I think that's a great segue into something that I've been thinking about. And hopefully you've been probably thinking about this too. But just like, do you have to decide, like, when you get into this legal world? I feel like we hear about aesthetics all the time, and people have these preconceived notions and stereotypes about what an attorney looks like. And girl, we're gonna have to have another whole episode on just being Black women, being Black in the legal profession, and what that whole
mhm.
aesthetic looks like, because we know this is all modeled mostly over white men, white males that are in the legal profession. So, what is your take on this of like being an associate, especially your first year? Like, do you feel like you've had to tone down who you are, whether that's like your dress, your style, to kind of conform to these pressures in the legal field and just society as a whole, especially when we know as Black women, people are already going to assume that we're not attorneys, that we're not smart enough to do this. There must be another reason. We either in legal trouble, we need legal help, or we just cannot be the attorneys. So what's your take on that?
Honestly, my take being in Houston and it's so diverse here is that
Mm,
I haven't had to tone down anything in terms of how I dress, how I speak, how I wear my hair, which is one reason why I really like being out here. I would say when
mm,
I was in Alabama, in Birmingham, sometimes I would feel like, maybe, like, I would have to tone things down a little bit.
right.
I still try to, stray away from doing that. Back in law school, I love the boho knotless, waist length, all that. I really express myself a lot through my hair.
Mhm,
And so I would say, like, it depends on what firm you're at, what area you're in, but my advice is always gonna be don't tone yourself down, and
mm,
if you find yourself feeling like you have to, maybe look, to other places that would be more accepting of you, accepting of your personality. There's a place in the legal field for everybody in terms of how you express yourself, how you dress, and just who you are, your culture. Don't ever feel like you have to downsize yourself
mm,
to fit in for a law firm or for a group of people. Like even being in law school, like finding your friend group and stuff. I would say neither me or Tiara ever toned ourselves down in terms of who we
mm.
were, and that's why we really clicked up so well together. Um, People think we're sisters and stuff. It's just like
I love it. I
finding
literally
people.
love I'm like, "Yes, yes, twins, yes, because 'cause I'm an only child, so I'm like, "Of course, yes. You can mistake me for Tiana anytime, call me we can be sisters, twins, all of it."
Look, me too. People will be like, "Are you Tiara?" I'm like, "I mean, no, but thank you. Like, I appreciate that compliment." They would genuinely get us confused. I had professors be like, "I saw you in the building earlier today." And I was like, "Well, I wasn't in the building. I was at home. So you probably saw Tiara." And they're like, "Okay, that makes sense."
Girl, that was me whipping in with the wind, trying to make it to whatever evening class I had. Y'all, anyone out there getting ready for law school, you're gonna experience this. But as you get past 1L year, and I hate that I distracted from this great conversation you were giving, but I just wanted to say it's probably me whipping in with the wind, trying to get to an evening class. Y'all, evening classes are great until you actually have to go to them, especially if you have no classes in the day. So yeah, that was me.
Mhm.
Not Tiana, that was me.
No, I feel that, and then don't let it be, like, the sun going down by 6 o'clock. You're gonna hate them evening classes, and then
Mm.
we were right across from Coleman Coliseum, so there'd be a big basketball game, and we'd be sitting in that class was what? Trial what was the class we had together? With
We had trial advocacy, and then we had another class that was right in that time, especially too in
mhm,
the spring when basketball ramps up, as well as just all kinds of fun activities. And we tried so many times to figure out what basketball games we were going to go. It never happened. And then there's
yeah.
noise, and go out, you walk outside, and you hear the cheers and the laughter, and you're like in pain. Like, I'm just tired. I'm ready to go home.
No, literally, it was child ed, and that was like a
Hmm.
2-hour class to make matters worse, so
Yeah, and
Mhm.
it's one of those classes I feel like you think, "Oh, it's not bad," when you look at the schedule that they give to you of what your journey's gonna look like during that class, and you're like, "Okay, only like 12, 13 classes, like, I got this, I'm gonna be at every single one." And those are
Right.
the ones that are so strict, like, you literally can miss, like, no classes, maybe 1, of course, I would talk like, there's something that would come up. I'm like, "I ain't gotta let my professor know about X, Y, and Z," but those are always the hardest classes usually to get out of because you only have maybe that class once a week, and they're usually the longest, as Tiana said, about 2 hours, and they're just really
Mm,
painful. And thankfully, that class, I believe, was 3 hours, but our professor was a little bit nice because I think that was just kind of the norm and the standard that you just don't do 3 hours. Like, no one's
mhm,
doing that, and a lot of them are working attorneys, so thankfully, it was just 2 hours, but yeah, no breaks, usually no Zooms, nothing, like, the professors are never sick, never late, so
mm-mm.
not it, not it.
No, for real. I thought that would be the chillest class because it was pass fail, if I remember correctly. No, that class had us putting in work, like
And why did I stress out about that the most? Like, I literally remember, like, after his class when we had wrapped up and it was just like a week or 2, because I think we ended, thankfully, that class early, and I remember he had that last session you could kinda talk with him to see kinda gauge how you were doing performance-wise, because we actually had to do, like, a full-fledged, like, trial. And so I was so nervous because I was like, I don't know what to expect from this man. And so I remember actually I was in the gym too, make matters worse. I'm in the gym trying to multitask. I'm like, let me go to the back to the little locker room. And I called him and we talked and I was like, okay, from what he's saying to me, I think I'm gonna be okay. But those are always the worst because you're like, what
mhm,
if? Like that's the class you like, no way. This is not gonna be the class to fail me, especially no. But those
yeah,
are always the ones you're worried about because you can't really gauge the professors because you don't see them all the time, so it's different.
mm-mm. That class was a good time though, you know?
A
A little bit.
very good time, and I
Uh-huh,
loved our little group. We had a little group. The group was grouping from time to time.
mhm,
So, yeah, I wish we had been on the same, like, side, same team. Mine was very interesting. That might be a conversation for another day.
yeah,
But going off what you said, I agree 100% about like aesthetics and staying true to who you are. And I think that's something you have to remember and just keep with you, whether you are in the phase of you've been accepted into law school, you're excited, you're going in the fall, or whether you're there now and you've maybe completed your first year, especially, you're like, that was rough. And I'm almost done with this first year and I don't like the way that it went and I'm stressed and I want to either make better grades the next year and just have a healthier overall balanced life. To just remember maybe a large part of that is just taking a step back, taking time for yourself and remembering definitely your why for why you came to law
mhm,
school and never changing who you truly are. I mean, Tia and I have done so many other things that I feel like have qualified or prepared us to go to law school and to be attorneys, but also really cool candidates to be in law school. And a lot of maybe some of our other peers, I'm sure, have done cool things, but to just not forget that. Like, I'm a singer, I'm a performer. So that's something I'm never going to give up. Like, 1 minute I'm singing opera somewhere, the next day I'm in class. They like, girl, what? Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm always into different things, but it's just like, that's who I am. I love singing. I love music. I feel like I'm a very creative person. And a lot of the times you don't find people that are creative like that or who decide to be like, I'm gonna wear my because Tiana was wearing them hairstyles. I'm like, Tiana, I need the hairstylist like yesterday. She was wearing them hairstyles. I'm like, period. I loved when sometimes we would be matching, like great minds think. We'd be matching in
mhm,
class. Especially, I think in we were in a bar prep class together. And there was one day I think we showed up in literally the same little matching little black little cute set because it's like spring, but it's still cold. And
right,
in Alabama weather, we all know, like, this week was so chaotic. It went from snowing to now it's 80 degrees, so you can just
mhm,
imagine, but we were there when it was still kinda cold, and we were matching, we were so cute. But it's
yeah,
just being who you are, being comfortable in who you are, and I think that will make you a better attorney in the future and definitely a better law student. So I love that we have had this conversation and hopefully have helped somebody out there who's worried about, like, their identity and staying true
mhm.
to themselves, especially with the curve and all the craziness with law school.
Yes, for sure. I would say keeping true to your identity will really help you, like, lock in law school in terms of just keeping your sanity, because if you try to change for this friend group or this law firm, you're gonna be doing a lot of changing because
Mm.
culture is different everywhere, and I mean, being in Alabama, you will certainly see that. Alabama is Alabama, like
Yes, and I definitely can attest. I mean, I'm born and raised here. You just you it's shame like, it's a shame that it has to be that way, but definitely,
Mhm.
being somewhere that is more diverse, definitely think about that, whether that's your future for either law school or your career. That's something that I've thought about, thankfully, like, I've been lucky for where I'll be working in the future and working in a couple of weeks. I have a Black woman who is my boss, and that's something you don't get every day or
Right, I love
find.
that.
It's hard, but it's made me feel more comfortable in my skin and feeling like I can be who I wanna be, and I have something to look forward to of maybe one day I could have my own firm, and so it just has
Mhm.
you sometimes you can't see what you can be unless you see someone else doing those same types of things, so representation matters tremendously when you just have that full representation in front of you to look at, to physically look at and see, and I know that people say that every day, but sometimes you just can't be what you don't see, and so thankfully, I've been able to see someone that I'm like, "Oh, I can do this. Like, I can do this," and I'm comfortable, but like Tiana was saying, I'm still in Alabama, I recognize, and even talking, with other, women that are in my position or just Black people in general, they're like, "It's hard out here. It's hard to find jobs. It's hard to find somewhere that's comfortable because 'cause you're not only dealing with, can are they gonna hire me just because I'm qualified to do the job,
Mhm.
but do I want them to hire me because I'm looking online at their page or I'm having an interview with them and it says online that they love diversity and having diverse associates, but they don't have one at their firm. Or you ask them the
Exactly.
question and they're like, give you the boilerpoint, like one line sentence, and you're like, I don't feel comfortable working here every day.
Right. Yeah, and I definitely have experienced that in law firms. I
Mm,
remember one time I asked a law firm, I said we were in a group setting, it was like a large group of us, it was an internship program. I said, "Do y'all have any, workplace, bias training or anything like that?" The man looks at me and he goes, "What are you talking about? What is that?" I'm like, "Sir, please." And then the other, attorney had to, hop up and answer the question. Again, it was the boilerplate language that you were talking about, which really just goes to show, like, you wanna be at a place that not only wants you to work for them, but they care about you, as a person. They invest in people that look like you. People say that their job is their family and stuff like that. I don't necessarily buy into that.
mm,
However, I think that it's important for jobs to, if they say they care about diversity, put their money where their mouth is, show it, who they hire, their associates, their partners. Are there people that look like us there? And if there's not, I don't really see myself giving my talents, and my skills to that firm because 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna have the best experience at a place where you are the diversity. You're the person that they bring to
mm,
all the presentations because you're the only person there who's the Black woman or the only Black person there or the only woman there. So it's very
mm,
important to, like Tiara was saying, make sure, when you look at that place, are they actually showing up how you want them to show up for you? Like, are they actually diverse or are they just
mm.
saying it on their website? Because, you look on them websites, they may say one thing, but you actually go in for the interview or you actually intern with them and it's a whole nother picture. So,
Girl, they have AI that whole situation. I don't know. I'm like, where y'all find these people that I know don't work here? But you have to be very you have to be very vocal about representing yourself and what's comfortable for you and being an advocate for yourself. Because I even remember as a first year law student, you're getting ready to decide, where you're going to be working for the summer. That's always a big process you go through. And I remember in my interviews, straight up asking everyone, like, something about diversity, something about some type of gauge to try to gauge, like, where do I fit into this equation? And it's really shocking how shocked they look, like their faces look that you even asked them that. It's almost like they think you should just be grateful that you got an interview from them, and you are grateful to have the opportunity, but you're not grateful if it doesn't serve you or you feel like
Mm.
you're not gonna be treated fairly, and so that's just something that I've had to think about carefully, and thankfully, I've been blessed, like I said, with the opportunity that I have, but those aren't common. They're very rare, and unless you're in a diverse place like you, Tiana, in Alabama, it's gonna be tough, or any other place that's rural or just not, you don't have access to a major city and a lot of diversity coming in. So, for anyone out that, think about that. Stand up for yourself regardless of whether you are a law student, like, you're still a person, you still matter, you still have skills and assets that if that firm doesn't appreciate the full person and accepting you, then you find another firm that best suits you, because you're gonna have to stick up for yourself, not only for representation as a Black person, as a woman, but also just standing up for yourself in the legal field and also when you're representing clients. So it's time to stand up for yourself for sure. It's gonna be a hard road, but it's definitely something that everyone can accomplish.
Yes, for sure. I definitely agree with every point that you've made throughout this whole podcast. Again, dropping gems,
Been
and I
so
hope
fun.
that we've given some good advice for people out there who are just, looking for somebody that looks like them, that's doing what
Mm.
they want to do. I know you mentioned that earlier, and that's really like a key mission of Juris Dolls. We're both women, we're both Black women, young Black women, in the legal profession. And so, anybody out there who's just looking for somebody to share advice and keep it real with them, we hope that we can be that for you guys. This is episode one, but it's only going to get better. So with that, we're gonna move towards our orders of the court. So TR, what is
I
it we
love
want to do this week?
This week, we definitely are calling to action for everyone. Like we said, this is not the last of us. This is just the beginning. We are going to come up with more ideas for you guys and hopefully more insight on what you all would like for us to talk about. So please, like, follow our podcast. I hope that you all were listening to this first episode. We also will be on Instagram and TikTok at Juris Dolls. So you should be able to find it. Like, it's gonna be the cutest. We have the cutest pink little label, because what would be any better than that for Juris Dolls? So please just follow us, subscribe, keep up with everything that we have to offer. And as Tiana said, I know our main feature for this point was talking about, like, so why do you want to be a lawyer? And those are some great tips, like we've talked about, that can transform into law school, going into transitioning into your first year as an associate. And so that's really what we want to be. We want to be advocates, like you said, Tiana, not only to women, but Black women, as we are Black women, Black people in
Yes.
this legal profession, because it's small. Honey, it is small, but we're trying to make it bigger, and we're trying to make it more comfortable for those out there that are wanting to go to law school, wanting to be in law, but also sticking true to who they are and their full selves.
Right. We're trying to increase that percentage of people who look like us, people who don't look like us. Look, the law profession needs to be diversified.
Mm.
I know a certain president out there is trying to, get rid of diversity and decrease its importance, but let's keep it real. We're signs and we're proof that not only is diversity important, but we're going to keep pushing for it. We're going to push for that equity and for that inclusion, and we're going to get things back on track. Okay. Like,
Period. Period to all of that. And I mean, so true what you said, Tiana. Like, we are living, as we all know, in really just terrible times when it comes to just feeling like, is there someone out there that is going to stand up for us? And we've learned time and time again that a lot of the times it's had to be people within our own community. We have to stick together and we have to unite. And that's why having a law degree, being in this profession, is so important, because you're learning behind the scenes what the laws actually are to protect yourselves moving forward, and how to be an advocate for yourself and for others that are just not being treated fairly, whether that's in the legal profession or just out in society. And so we need more of us, more people that look like us, and just more people that are out there willing to be allies to help others who are part of marginalized communities. And so that's why we are loving this podcast and can't wait for what's next. So this is going to be exciting. I love it.
no, me too. Like, I'm so excited to see where this will go. And both me and Tiara are resources for anyone out there who's interested in law school or just interested in learning more about the law. There's so many different careers within the legal field. You don't necessarily have to be an attorney. So we're here. We're ready to share our insights and our knowledge. And we're so excited to start this journey. Episode 1 of Juris Dolls. Okay.
Yes. So thank y'all so much for everyone that tuned in and listened to our first episode and for bearing with us. It's been a minute since Tiana and I both got to really just talk and sit down. We've both been so busy just going through this journey in different directions, but hopefully ended up at the same point, but just kind of navigating life as young adults. So thank y'all so much for tuning in and listening. And there's definitely more to come. So I love this and so glad that we'll be able to do this a lot throughout the next couple of weeks. So case is adjourned, y'all, and we'll see y'all in chambers next week. Tiana, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't. It was great speaking with you, TR, as always. And it's great meeting the Juris Dolls. That's what we're going to call our fan base, right? Our viewers.
Yes, yes. I mean, we're Juris Dolls. We're looking for more Juris Dolls, honey. Juris Dolls everywhere. Juris Dolls, all the more the better. The more the merrier. And just the more to just highlight how you can do it all. You don't have to just put yourself into one box or one category, which oftentimes society tries to box us in.
Yes, ma'am. Well, with that, again, our case is adjourned. Make sure y'all tune in next week for our next episode.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.